All right, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? After the review here, the NFL season is in full swing. We're 3 weeks down, heading into week 4, almost a quarter of the way through this season. I know it's absolutely crazy. It's flying by. I've been wanting to get back into doing more daily video content. I know we got a lot of stuff on every day, but I figured everybody else is doing. There's a lot of people doing them, but we're going to do it our way, a special way. We're going to do with Pete's Power Rankings every week. Started out this week. I've watched like 99% of every game so far, so I've been taking notes, keeping tabs on this. This is going to be the comprehensive list, breaking down all 32 teams, going through them. I got them ranked 1 through 32. It's going to be surprising, but before we get into this video, like this video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. We just reached 500 subscribers. Absolutely amazing. I love doing these videos for you. Love the daily content. We're going to try and get these out every Tuesday moving forward. It's going to be a blast. And let's get into it with our bottom teams of the league.
Oh yeah! Let's go, baby!
All right, here's your 32 through 24 list. It's really not much. These are pretty bad teams here. I have not seen any real positives from these teams. I got the Raiders last. That's probably a surprise to a lot of people. But frankly, if you're 0-3 through 3 weeks, you're going to be at the bottom of my list. They're the only team that is 0-3. They really haven't shown me anything. Probably not the worst team. Probably Houston's the worst team. But Houston at least got a tie week 1 against Indianapolis. So I slot them in at 31. The Commanders and Carson Wentz at 30. Not doing anything special. Really struggling. Wentz is turning the ball over way too much. They can't protect. They really don't look good. They had a shock win week 1 against a now seemingly good Jacksonville Jaguars. That's about it. Same with the Seahawks at 29. Geno Smith does nothing for me. The offense is bad. The defense is meh. They did beat the Broncos week 1, but that was an emotionally charged game with Russell Wilson's return. Nothing special. Carolina, same thing. Another 1-2 team. Not really doing anything. Baker Mayfield has the worst QBR of all the quarterbacks in the NFL. So they're not anything special. They're bad once again. Jets coming in at 27. Miracle win at the Browns, so this team would be 0-3 and probably towards the bottom of the list. But I do like some signs from the Jets. Garrett Wilson, their rookie wide receiver, seems like he's a real baller. And their starting quarterback, Zach Wilson, is coming back. This is a big upgraded quarterback. Joe Flacco really was terrible last week. So I think the Jets are kind of around here. Cardinals at 26. Not a fan of the Cardinals at all. They had a miracle comeback against the Raiders, but really they should also be 0-3. Kyler Murray looks too small to play football these days. Can't see over people. They lack weapons. They lack cohesion. And the defense is bad on top of it. Not a good football team whatsoever. 25, Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin, you got to move off Mitch Trubisky. Kenny Pickett's the way to go. TJ Watt is basically out for most of the season, and this team has never won a game when TJ Watt wasn't playing. So 0-6 without him, it's probably going to get a lot worse. You got to move to Pickett. Mitchell Trubisky is just bad at quarterback. All right, in 24, Bill Belichick's New England Patriots. They beat this Steelers team, so I got to put them over the Steelers. But really, again, nothing special. Mac Jones has kind of regressed. The offense is mediocre, and now Mac Jones is hurt. They're considering him day-to-day, but a pretty high ankle sprain. Not the best case scenario. Patriots defense isn't even that good anymore. Just a bad team and a bad recovery from a Hall of Fame head coach. All right, up to our next tier of teams, 23 through 16. Kind of your middle tier of teams. Little surprising. Some people might have some of these teams a little bit higher, but a lot of 1-2 teams. There is a 2-1 team in here, but there's a lot of movement here. I see some things from these teams, but there are some teams that have also been a real letdown. 23, the Tennessee Titans, just let down. They did manage to beat Vegas this past weekend at home to get a win, but man, they've really regressed. There seems to be a ceiling to that offense. They're just not as good as they used to be, frankly. The defense isn't as good, the offense isn't as good, and they've fallen back. Same with the Saints at 22. Jameis Winston has regressed back to the old Winston ways. He is turning the ball over way too much. Now he's banged up with an injury. The running game's been decent. The defense hasn't really helped them out either. It's just a lot of non-complimentary football. Saints were a team I had as a playoff and division winner, and they're really struggling. Big game this weekend in London against the Vikings. They really need to get a win here. All right, at 21, the San Francisco 49ers. This team embarrassed themselves on Sunday Night Football, lost 11-10. Jimmy Garoppolo seems to be totally regressed. I guess all that camp, all that time missed. they're just bad, man. They forgot how to play offense. They can't really run the ball. The plays seem to be terrible. It's a disjointed mess. The only positive is the defense still is playing pretty well. They have the Rams coming to town on Monday night. Maybe they get a bounce back, but man, if they do not turn this offense around, it's going to be a long season for the Niners. At 20, the Chicago Bears. The Bears are somehow 2-1. I mean, they got a real good scheduling break. They got the Niners week 1 with Trey Lance getting his first start in a monsoon. They squeaked that one out. They got boat raced by a Packers team I don't think is very good. And then they get the Houston Texans, who are bad, and the Texans threw a pick on 3rd and 1 inside of a minute at their own 30 to give the Bears the win. This is the worst offensive team in football. They can't pass the ball. They are running the ball really well, honestly, but they're so one-dimensional. Justin Fields is just not it. The wide receiver group, there are 4 wide receivers that have more receptions than the entire Chicago Bears team. They only got 23 receptions on the season. It's just really bad. The defense isn't what it used to be. It's okay. It's not a world beater like they got them to the playoffs. So the Bears at 20. Falcons at 19, finally got a win. This is a scrappy team. Blew a 17-point lead in the second half against the New Orleans Saints. Could easily be 2-1. They're very competitive. Cordero Patterson, 3rd in the league in rushing. But Mariota's Mariota, not winning you a whole lot of games. They're trying to tank. I think they're better than they thought they would be. They need a new quarterback. But if they do, I like this Falcon team's moving forward. Seems like Drake London's on the up and up. 18, the Indianapolis Colts. Colts are real disappointing right now. They're 1-1-1 at least. They did manage to get a win against Kansas City at home. They tied the Texans, which, they were down 20 in that game, I think, and they ended up with a tie. But it's just been a letdown. Matt Ryan has not been what we thought he would be. We thought he'd be a lot better with his, protection in the run game. They're not really getting Jonathan Taylor going. There's not a lot at wide receiver. It's just been a slog offensively for this team. But the defense has been great. Number 1 in rush defense. They're giving up no yards per carry. They're absolutely dominant up front. And besides the bad first half against the Texans, they've really kept this team around. They managed to shut down that Chiefs offense. So the Colts are a team that could really slide up this list. 17, I give it to the Giants. They're 2-1. But I don't really believe too much in their 2-1 there. They just lost to the Cowboys at home at Monday night. The limiting factor is Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is bad. Not a good quarterback. They need to move on. He's 4 years in the league. Just bad for the Giants. And they just lost their best receiver, Sterling Shepard, for the year. This is a team that's probably going to slide way down this list by the end of things. All right, 16, the Cincinnati Bengals rounding this up. I know it's a little surprising. The Bengals are still 1-2. They beat the Jets. They lost to the Cowboys. Not a good loss with Cooper Rush. I know Cooper Rush is 3-0 in 3 starts, but still not very good. Way too many turnovers. They're getting a lot better, though. This Bengals team is getting a ton better. So I expect this Bengals team to slide way up into my top 15 in the upcoming weeks. They seem to have righted the ship against the Jets, but they do have a big road game at the Dolphins. The schedule does not get easier for them. Joe Burrow's got to tighten things up a little bit. The offensive line is starting to get better. They've been horrible through the first 2 weeks. They were a little bit better against the Jets, but it seems like everybody gets healthy against the Jets. So Bengals at 16, but they have potential to be sliding way up this list. All right, let's get into our top 15, spend a little bit more time on these teams. Number 15, the Denver Broncos. Yes, awful offensive team. I do not get this team offensively. Russell Wilson and their offense cannot score any points. Lowest in the league, only 3 touchdowns on the season for this offense, but they are getting carried by that defense. Defense is great, towards the top of the league in 3rd down stops, and that counteracts the offense, who's towards the top of the league in 3 and outs. So they're not really hanging on to the ball. The defense has been on the field a ton, and they've really held it up. They beat the Niners. They've won 2 in a row. They struggled and beat the Texans in week 2. We know they lost week 1 against Seattle. This team is a good team. I believe in Russell Wilson. Nathaniel Hackett needs to get this thing figured out. Play calling wise, just let Russ make plays with his legs. They've been trying to protect him. They invested $200 million in this man. But good God, Russ is best when he's improvising, scrambling, making plays. They have a good run game. They go away from it way too often. Javonte Williams in the offensive line is pretty strong right there. So I think this team has nowhere to go but up. They honestly couldn't be any worse from a playing standpoint. They could easily be 0-3, but they're 2-1 because they find ways to win games, and that's what good teams do. When your things aren't going right, you find ways to beat teams in this league. So I think the Broncos will go up, but there's been a real disappointment. Honestly, they should be 3-0. All right, number 14, your Los Angeles Chargers, another team with high expectations. They're 1-2 on the season. Huge loss this past weekend against the Jaguars. Got upset. It really was a letdown for the Chargers. I mean, I thought this team would be 3-0. I had them beating the Chiefs in Kansas City. Just, they seem to play the Chiefs well. They let that game get away from them. A back-breaking pick six by Herbert in the red zone won the game for the Chiefs. And then Herbert's banged up now on top of it. He's got fractured ribs. I don't know what it is with the Chargers training staff or their injury luck or whatever. They seem to always be hurt across the board. Keenan Allen's been out since week 1 with a bad hamstring. Rashawn Slater, their all-pro rookie left tackle, just tore his bicep. He's done for the season. Joey Bosa's banged up again. The injuries are starting to rack up for this team. I don't like their head coach, Brandon Staley. Let down of a team so far, but they're still a really good football team here. They do have the talent to right the ship, get into the playoffs, but the AFC West is not going to make it easy for them. All right, number 13, how about them Cowboys? Yes, the Dallas Cowboys at 13. They're 2-1. Now, some people might say I have them too low. Some people are going to say I have them too high. I like this football team where it stands right now. They were completely embarrassed week 1 on Sunday night against the Buccaneers with Dak. Dak broke his thumb or dislocated, whatever. He had surgery on his thumb. He's been out. In comes Cooper Rush. 2-0 with Cooper Rush this season and starts 2 game-winning drives. Beat the Bengals. Beat the Giants at the Giants on Monday night. So real strong performance from Cooper Rush so far. They're still really struggling to figure out their running game. Tony Pollard is their number 1 back, but they give him no carries. He has 60% of the carries of Zeke Elliott. Now, Zeke is better than what he was last year, but Tony Pollard is a guy who could be a number 1 back and a top 10, top 5 number 1 back. So I just hate that they aren't feeding him the rock. The offensive line isn't good. The real Achilles heel of this team is their coaching and discipline. Mike McCarthy is not a good coach. His time management skills are really terrible, and they're just super undisciplined. They get stupid penalties all the time. So much lack of discipline by this Cowboy team. But hey, when you have an elite defense, Micah Parsons, a complete game record, you're going to be in these close games. You're going to be able to win football games. So I think the Cowboys are not good enough to win this division, but I like where they are right now at 13. It's a tough team. You really aren't going to be looking forward to play them any Sunday. All right, at number 12, the Detroit Lions. Yes, the Detroit Lions. This is another team that feels just like the Cowboys almost. A real scrappy team. Now, they're only 1-2 on the season, but hey, they've had a real tough schedule to open up. Had the Eagles, who are one of the best teams in the league. At the Commanders, got a nice win there, kind of blew them out right there. And then they had at the Vikings, and they threw that Vikings game away. They were up 14-0 and 24-10. They could have or 24-14. So 2 10-point leads they threw away last week. The Lions are a real scrappy team. I love what Danny Campbell's done with this team. They're tough. They're gritty. They run the football. They lead the NFL in yards per carry, 5.9 yards a carry. Really dominant stuff. The offensive line is the best unit on this team. They protect the quarterback. And when Jared Goff has protection, doesn't really have to scramble too much or make improvised plays. He's really good from the pocket. So it's all sort of coming together for this team. They just need to remember that they're not the Detroit Lions of old. They are good enough to win football teams. This is a real scrappy team. Do not sleep on the Lions. You do not want to play this team. You're not looking forward to the Lions anymore on your schedule. Them and the Cowboys, very similar teams. Pretty good defenses, can control the clock. Maybe not the best quarterback play, but hey, it's good enough to win games in this league. All right, number 11, the Cleveland Browns. Deshaun Watson-less Cleveland Browns, still 2-1, really should be 3-0. One of the worst collapse in the history of the NFL against the Jets in week 2. 10 points, gave up 2 touchdowns inside of 2 minutes. I mean, it was 1:50, I think, left when they gave up those 2 scores to the lowly Jets and Joe Flacco. So puts them at 2-1. I think this team is just kind of limited at quarterback. Jacoby Brissett's okay. Amari Cooper's kind of emerged again as a number one wide receiver, back-to-back 100-yard games. They're leaning on Chubb. Chubb is still a powerhouse, leads the NFL in rushing yards. He is going to get things done for them up front. Offensive line is not as good as it's been in the past. Still okay, but not as great. Defense still really good. You know, Myles Garrett's a game wrecker. He is injured now. He just got in that scary car wreck. But he is okay, but he's still a little roughed up. So he's out a little bit, possibly. He might play. I think this Browns team has just got to stay afloat until Deshaun Watson gets around. And then hopefully they can do enough to get into the playoffs, because it's really what they're missing at quarterback. But the Browns have been kind of surprising so far. Schedule hasn't been tough at all, but they're a good football team. I think they have the potential to get in the playoffs. Division is tough. There is a certain team in that division that has no problem scoring points, and that's going to be a problem for the Browns, being able to keep up with teams that are able to score on their defense. All right, we're into the top 10 here. Here's your top 10 teams for the NFL so far. I got the Packers at number 10. I don't know. Some people think the Packers are back. I don't know what y'all are watching. They've played one good team at full strength week 1 and got boat raced by the Vikings in Minnesota. They beat up on a terrible Bears team at home, and then they barely beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa. Tom Brady was playing with 6-string receivers out there, and the Packers team scored 0 points in the second half. They were up 14-0, or 14-3. They were looking to go up 21-3. Aaron Jones fumbles at the goal line, and they don't sniff field goal range the rest of the game. Tampa Bay's defense really locked it down. Now, that's a great defense, probably the best in the league, honestly, as far as turnovers, points against are concerned, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But man, this offense feels flat. They're not running the ball well. A.J. Dillon kind of just not explosive like he used to be. They're not running Aaron Jones enough. You can't trust the receivers. It feels like a really vanilla offense for an Aaron Rodgers-led team, and I think they're really going to struggle to score points. Defense is good, though. Defense is solid. They will be able to keep the Packers in games, so that's going to be able to win some games. And the Packers have a relatively soft schedule. Really benefits the scheduling guys. But when they've played good teams, I have not been impressed by this team. They could go up, but for right now, I got them at 10. Okay, probably the biggest surprise to everybody. Number 9, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yes, our lowly Jags, the first pick in the draft, back-to-back seasons, the last 2 seasons. They're 2-1. They really should be 3-0. They threw away week 1 against the Commanders. They had that lead late in the fourth quarter. It was bad. This team has been great. Trevor Lawrence is playing like the number 1 overall pick we thought he was. He has been awesome. 6-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Second best in the league this year. He has been great. The offense is humming. James Robinson, 9 months off of an Achilles tear, is dominating. The only running back to score a touchdown in all 3 games this season. So they can run the ball, they can pass the ball, and the defense is key. They've had a decent defense, and now they've really stepped up. They just put an adult in the room with Doug Peterson. He's put this all together. This team is playing as a real good unit. The Jags have a real test this weekend at Philadelphia. If they're competitive in that game, mark the Jags as for real. If they get blown out, maybe it's a little flash in the pan here. But I like the Jags. I liked them before the season. I had them at 6 wins, but I said I will not be surprised if this team goes 8-9. And it looks like the Jags are the clear favorite in the AFC South right now. So I could see the Jags in the playoffs, no problem. This is a really good team. Trevor Lawrence is taking the steps we questioned about. There's great play calling. There's great leadership. And the Jags are a good football team for now. All right, coming in at number 8, my Minnesota Vikings. Yes, things have been very up and down for the Vikings. Blew out Green Bay week 1 in Minnesota, then got absolutely annihilated on Monday night at the Eagles, and then were really bad for the first half against the Lions, really the first quarter and a half. But they managed to pull out 2 10-point deficits, brought it back. They won the game. They're sitting at 2-1. They're going to London this week playing the Saints. Really big game for both teams here. Vikings 3-1. They come back home for the Bears. This team could be sitting at 4-1, and then they got a date with the Dolphins. This is a good team. There is some serious concerns about the defense, though. The defense has not been good. Towards the bottom of the league in passing, not good against the run. They don't get off the field. Horrible on 3rd down/4th down. They give up way too many conversions. The Lions had 5 4th down conversions, I believe, this past weekend, so it's a real concern. Also, the offense hasn't necessarily been what it's been. They've been trying to force the ball to Justin Jefferson a little too much. He's been getting double, triple teamed, but it seemed to open up in the second half. They've been going to Thielen, KJ Osborne, their other weapons. It helps. They are running the ball really well. 4.4 yards a carry with Dalvin Cook, towards the top in the league. But Cook is banged up once again. Alexander Madison's a pretty good fill-in at backup there. The offensive line has been really good compared to what they used to be. Was towards the bottom of the league, and now they're towards the middle of the league. That's a big upgrade. Kirk Cousins still one of the best in the league against the blitz, and he's absolutely one of the best quarterbacks in the 1 p.m. window. So if the Vikings aren't playing in prime time at night on the road, they tend to be a good football team. This team could go up, it could go down. This is really a team teetering on both, but I think they're a good team right now. All right, number 7, the Baltimore Ravens. All right, it's easy. Lamar Jackson is trying to get Deshaun Watson contract. Pay this man. He wants insane money, and he's playing like it. He has more total touchdowns than every other team in the NFL has, just himself. He is running. He's passing. They are scoring, but they're 2-1. They are horrible loss against the Dolphins. Blew a massive lead. The defense is the biggest problem with this team. Their defense is bad. The secondary's bad. They can't stop anybody. They can't cover anybody. So they're going to be in shootouts, it feels like, every single weekend. And that's really hard to ask the offense to score 40 points a game. If you don't play complementary football, you're not going to beat the best of this league. The Ravens are really great offensively. If they can get the defense playing a little bit better, they are going to be a top 5 team because Lamar is out of his mind. He's maybe your MVP frontrunner right now. I got one other guy that I think has it right in front of him, but Lamar's been fantastic. You can't complain about the offense. Can't complain about the quarterback play. This really rides on the defense. They need to get this thing figured out. Who would have thought the Ravens went from the best defensive franchise in football to they're absolutely embarrassing the last 2 years. The worst defense in football, probably. But hey, thank God for Lamar. 2-1, still can get this thing done. Should win this AFC North if they can just get a little bit better play from their defense. Okay, at number 6, your defending Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams. Some just feels off about this team. You know, they got blown out week 1 against the Bills at home. They survived the Falcons' late push, almost threw that game away. And they really did not impress me against the Cardinals, another bad football team. They really struggled for about 3 quarters there. Cam Akers is turning the ball over. Stafford's a little bit off. Cooper Kupp's still amazing, but where the hell is Allen Robinson? Is he washed? Like, they paid all this money for him, and he can't get him the ball. He can't get open. I don't know what it is. Defense is still good. It's just not as sharp as it used to be, and that's sometimes what happens when you win a Super Bowl. Guys take one more extra drink at night and one less rep in the weight room. It just feels like there's something off with this team. They're really not playing up to their potential. Coach McVay is doing a real good job of covering up these missteps. I think there's a lot of holes here. It's really awkward and clunky, but this is still the defending Super Bowl champions, so you gotta respect them. I expect them to right the ship right now, but right now is a good time to play them because they are not playing their best ball. Sometimes it's a Super Bowl hangover for the loser. Definitely looks like a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover for the winner here. I think they'll get this thing figured out, but honestly, not as sharp as I'd like them to be. They really should be in the top 4, top 5. But sitting here at 6, not super impressed with them in the NFC. Don't feel a lot of the heat from the Rams right now, but I think they do get this thing figured out. All right, number 5, Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Look, they've been super banged up. They were playing with 6-string wide receivers last weekend against Green Bay. If Mike Evans doesn't even get suspended, which he should not have gotten suspended for his little dust-up in New Orleans, they beat that Packers team. You know, they just missed the 2-point conversion to tie it. This defense, like I said, the best in the league. Best in points against, best in yards, best at forcing turnovers. They have been fantastic so far, this Tampa Bay defense. I like Tampa Bay a lot. If the offense is the worst part of this team so far, Tom Brady's going to get this figured out. They just got to get a little bit healthier. Leonard Fournette, they are struggling to run the ball. They have a lot of 3-and-outs, but I like what I see from Fournette, man. He looks like a much better runner than he has the last 2 seasons. He's running with power. He's running with authority. I think they get this thing figured out, and when you have a good defense and you have Tom Brady, you're going to win a lot of football games. Still 2-1. They get the Chiefs this weekend. Whoever pissed off the NFL schedulers from Tampa Bay, man, they really messed up. I can't think of a harder 4 games for a team to open up with, but hey, it is what it is, and I like the Buccaneers. They're still a really good team. Don't ever sleep on the GOAT. Okay, number 4, the Miami Dolphins. Another kind of surprising team here. They're 3-0, the only undefeated team in the AFC. Say, yeah, you're putting them too low. Hey, man, I need to see it every week to get proven. I didn't have the Dolphins very high coming into the season. Had them as an okay team, potentially in a wild card chase. But, man, they've looked really good offensively. Tua's playing really good, playing a lot better than he's played. And that's amazing how that happens when you have a coach that believes in you. Mike McDaniels has this kind of weird young man swag. The Tyreek Hill, they kind of feasting off this. They had a huge comeback win against the Ravens. They just beat the Bills. But hey, they've had a lot of benefits here at home against the Bills. That's a nice one. Really good win from the Dolphins. I got him at number 4 right now. Play good defense. They're playing good offense. I just need to see it more, man. I'm not a full believer yet, but they're really good. I got them ranked 4. I just don't think they have the experience, coaching-wise, quarterback-wise, when it comes down to the nitty-gritty to beat these top teams. Okay, number 3, the Kansas City Chiefs. Calm down, Chiefs fans. It's a loss. Sometimes it happens. You're not going to win all 17 games. Didn't look great against Indianapolis, but this still is an elite team. Patrick Mahomes, probably the best quarterback in the NFL still. Andy Reid, still a great head coach, great play caller. And the defense has been really good this year, much better than in years past. This is a team that seems like it's ready to go. It is back on a Super Bowl hunt. They have a bad taste left in their mouth losing that AFC Championship game last year, and they look like it. You're not going to win every week. This is still one of the best teams in the league. They've done fine without Tyreek Hill. The offense still is scoring points most weekends. Sometimes you just run into a hiccup. Do not sleep on the Chiefs. Calm down, Chiefs fans. They're still really, really good. One of the best teams in the league. Okay, number 2, I got the Buffalo Bills. Man, did anybody look more impressive than the Bills after the first 2 weeks? Blew out the Rams, blew out the Titans, and they let one slide in Miami, not gonna lie. It is a road division game. Those teams know each other. You're playing in division, you know each other. It's a tough game. It's hard to win on the road in this league, and it's especially hard to win on the road against division opponents. Tough loss. Couldn't get into field goal range. The clock ran out of them. They moved the ball like crazy. Josh Allen threw for 400 yards. He leads the league in passing. Stephon Diggs leads the league in receiving. Leads the league in touchdowns. This offense is explosive. The defense was super banged up. Still is super banged up. They have a lot of injuries, some long-term injuries that are a little bit concerning here. And another really concerning thing about the Bills is they're 0-7 the last 2 seasons in one-score games, so they can blow teams out no problem. They just really struggle in close games, which is very concerning. This is a really good team. The hype has been there. You lose games in this league. I still think they run away hand over fist in the AFC. They'll get the Dolphins back when they got to go back to Buffalo. I think this is a really good football team. Best team in the AFC. Them and the Chiefs 1A, 1B. But I think we all know who the top dog I have through 3 weeks in the NFL. Number 1, the Philadelphia Eagles. Man, they have been so good. They let a little bit slip a week 1 against the Lions. They were blowing them out, let the Lions come back, made it a lot closer than they probably wanted to. Destroyed the Vikings at home on Monday Night Football, and then an absolutely dominating performance against the Washington Commanders. They sacked Carson Wentz 9 times, more sacks than points the Commanders scored. This team is so rounded. They play really good defense. They play really good offense. They can run the ball. They can throw the ball. They can protect Jalen Hurts, and when protection does break down, Jalen Hurts is making plays with his leg. This team is just so hard to deal with. A.J. Brown, an elite wide receiver. Devonta Smith, a top number 2 receiver. Good running game from Miles Sanders and Boston Scott. Defense is fantastic. They play good special teams. It's really, really hard to find a hole in this team. They do seem to struggle a little bit in the second half, but it could be because they pull the foot off the gas. They didn't score against the Vikings in the second half, really. They didn't score this week against the Commanders in the second half. They tend to put their foot off the gas, and that can catch you and bite you in the NFL. They did the same thing against the Lions. But this is the most complete team in the NFL through 3 weeks, heading into week 4. They're my number 1 squad. All right, that's going to do it for us this week. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Who's too high? Who's too low? Where am I off? Am I sleeping on anybody? Am I way overvaluing some teams? Like I said, let me know in the comments below. We're going to try and get these out every Tuesday starting next week. We're getting into the video schedule. I want to do more daily content. We have live streams during the Monday Night Football game every night, watching the game, talking about the games on Sunday. We got Backyard Bookies, our gambling show for the weekend on Friday. Daily sports staff fact of the day on Shorts every single day. And we're going to try and get these out every Tuesday, like I said. We'll figure out what to do for the rest of the week, but I really want to get back into doing daily videos. We just passed 500 subscribers. Absolutely amazing, guys. Once again, thank you so much to everybody out there. If you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button, like this video, share it with your friends. It really helps the channel out a lot, and we will see you all next week.